The story opens at Saika Academy, an elite institution designed to polish the skills of the world's most gifted students. Whether in the arts, sports, or academics, the school represents the absolute pinnacle of achievement. Ayase has just transferred to this prestigious school, but he immediately finds himself in a position of extreme vulnerability. Inside the karate club dojo, he is being physically overwhelmed. The club members look on with a mix of pity and scorn as Ayase is tossed around the mat. His opponent taunts him, asking how the son of the legendary Subaru Ayase could be so pathetically weak. As he takes blow after blow, Ayase reflects on his mother's incredible life. Subaru Ayase was a world-renowned A-list actress, a genius who performed her own stunts and graduated at the top of her class at a famous international university. Because of her brilliance, the world assumes that Ayase must also be a prodigy. The expectations are crushing. He has already failed the advanced class entrance tests, and now, as he tries to defend himself in the dojo, his punches are nothing more than light taps. The audience is disgusted, whispering that he is a total failure and a disappointment to his mother's name. Ayase is used to this script. At 17 years old, he has learned to accept his own mediocrity. He tells the vice captain of the karate club that those who obsess over talent are often the most mediocre themselves. He admits he is not a fighter and has never done combat sports, but his calm acceptance of defeat only irritates the athletes further. They want to beat greatness out of him, but Ayase simply thanks them for the match and prepares to leave. The tension is broken when a girl named Nico, the captain of the club, rushes in and kicks the vice captain for harassing an amateur. Ayase's presence has drawn the attention of the school's most powerful figures, the three royals. These three girls rule over their respective programs with undisputed talent. There is Kazuki from the Performing Arts program, a star whose theater tickets sell out instantly. There is Miwa from the Advanced program, a genius who aced every entrance exam and holds titles in professional shogi. Finally, there is Nico, the undefeated martial arts champion. They represent the very best of Saika Academy. The girls are openly dismissive of Ayase. When they learn he failed his placement tests and intends to join the general education program, they label him a mediocre hack who has no place at their school. They tell him that incompetent people are unwelcome and order him to clean the dojo as a penalty for losing his match. Ayase doesn't argue. While the sisters leave, convinced they have wasted their time on a nobody, Ayase stays behind and meticulously cleans the facility. When the club members return later, they are stunned to find the dojo shining, the mats looking brand new through the sheer effort of Ayase's hard work. As Ayase walks home, he thinks about his childhood and the distance that grew between him and his mother. He remembers being a little boy, rehearsing lines and hoping to impress her, only to see her performing and realizing the gap between her genius and his own ordinary nature was an endless abyss. He spent years feeling like a disappointment, moving away from her even though she was his only family. It wasn't until her final days in the hospital that they truly connected. He discovered that despite her fame, she spent her private time watching a low-profile family drama called Homemade Bride. She loved the scenes where the family simply sat together for dinner, chatting about nothing in particular. She confessed that she had always wanted a simple, happy family like the one on the screen. After she passed away, Ayase found a note in her journal expressing her wish for him to find a happy family of his own. Now, he is determined to honor that wish no matter what it takes. Ayase arrives at a massive mansion, the home of Mr. Mikadono, a friend of his late mother who has agreed to take him in. The house is incredible, with high ceilings and an air of luxury, but the welcome is anything but peaceful. He is immediately attacked by a girl in a towel who mistakes him for a burglar. It is Nico, the martial arts royal. In the chaos, she slips on the floor, and Ayase reflexively tries to help her. He begins drying her hair with a towel, telling her that preventing a cold is a vital part of martial arts. The other two sisters, Kazuki and Miwa, arrive home and are shocked to find the failure from school in their living room. Ayase receives a phone call from Mr. Mikadono, who explains that these three girls are his daughters. He asks Ayase to get along with them, but the girls are not interested. They view him as a mooch and an incompetent burden. Ayase tries to remain positive, but he quickly notices that despite their individual brilliance, the sisters are living in a total pigsty. The house is a mess of unwashed dishes, piles of laundry, and dusty floors. Ayase points out the smell and the clutter, much to the sisters' embarrassment. Kazuki claims she is too busy with rehearsals to do dishes, and Miwa admits she can't remember the complicated instructions for doing laundry. Ayase notices that Miwa has even written laundry notes on the back of her hand because she finds it more difficult than shogi rules. He realizes that these prodigies are so focused on their talents that they are completely incapable of managing a normal life. Ayase immediately gets to work, tidying the entire house while the sisters argue. By the time they stop talking, the mansion is sparkling. The girls are stunned, and Nico remembers how he transformed the dojo earlier that day. Despite his lack of academic or athletic talent, Ayase possesses a deep competence in domestic chores. The next morning, he witnesses their intense routines: Nico splitting tiles at dawn, Miwa arguing with a shogi AI, and Kazuki blending strange concoctions for her health. He tries to invite them to breakfast, but they are all too driven by their schedules to sit down. He realizes they are just like his mother, self-centered and blinded by their own goals. He manages to catch Nico before she leaves, offering her a balanced meal he made from leftover ingredients. Nico tries to act tough, criticizing the nutritional balance of the food, but Ayase challenges her. He realizes that their drive to be the best makes them blind to their own needs. As the sisters prepare to head out for their various practices and matches, Ayase stops them at the door. They check their bags, thinking they have forgotten something important, but Ayase simply wishes them a nice day. It is a small, ordinary gesture, but it catches them off guard. As they walk their separate ways, all three sisters find themselves blushing, secretly touched by the simple kindness of his farewell. The morning ends with a call from Mr. Mikadono. He explains to Ayase that he is rarely home and that his daughters will eventually face obstacles they cannot overcome alone, a fate common to all prodigies. He asks Ayase to be their helping hand, believing that if Ayase supports them through their struggles, the sisters will eventually open their hearts to him. Ayase stands alone in the massive house, wondering how a mediocre guy like him is supposed to help three world-class geniuses, but he is determined to try for the sake of the family his mother wanted him to have. On the other end of the line, Mr. Mikadono lists the monumental challenges facing each girl. Kazuki is preparing for a grueling audition, Nico is training to defend her title as a national karate champion, and Miwa is facing a high-stakes shogi match. Once the call ends, Ayase finds himself lost in thought while scrubbing floors and tidying rooms. He wonders how someone as average as himself can possibly assist three girls who are at the absolute peak of their fields. He remembers the cold whispers of his past, where strangers expressed their disappointment that the son of a legendary actress had inherited none of her brilliance. He knows the pain of being a failure all too well, and he begins to worry about what might happen if these gifted sisters experience that same crushing disappointment. He decides that the first step to helping them is simply getting them to sit down for a meal together. When Nico returns from practice, she is visibly startled to find Ayase in the house, having already forgotten that their living arrangement is permanent. Ayase offers her a taste of what he is cooking, but she immediately puts up a wall. She tells him that she won't be tamed by food and insists on eating the store-bought items she brought for herself, calling his cooking slop. Undeterred, Ayase doubles down. While Nico is in the bath, he spreads out multiple cookbooks, obsessing over precise temperatures and vacuum packing techniques. He focuses on a complex broth, timing the simmer of skipjack tuna to the exact second to avoid any unpleasant smells. Nico watches him from a distance, irritated by his intensity. She recalls her childhood, where she and her sisters rejected the food of world-class chefs because they wanted to control what went into their own bodies. She retreats to her room to eat her supplements and low-fat snacks, but the enticing aroma from the kitchen eventually draws her back down the stairs for a peek. Ayase catches her and presents a perfectly balanced athlete's meal. He lists the exact grams of protein and milligrams of vitamins he included, explaining that he customized a dietitian's recipe specifically for her training needs. Though she tries to remain distant, she eventually takes a bite and admits it isn't bad. Miwa soon follows, drawn by the smell, and Ayase presents her with a meal rich in DHA to fuel her brain. The two sisters end up bickering at the table like normal siblings, teasing each other about their weight and habits. The peace is interrupted when Kazuki arrives. She looks at the domestic scene with a cold, distant gaze. Ayase tries to win her over with a risotto designed to improve skin health and a salmon marinade full of antioxidants, but she rejects it flatly. She tells him that while the scene looks like a heartwarming family dinner, she wants no part of it, especially if the food is made by a nobody. She retreats to her room, leaving a stung silence behind. Nico, feeling bad for the effort Ayase put in, offers to eat the extra portion, though Ayase warns her that the extra carbs will push her over her limit for the day. Over the next few days, Ayase tries to make a move at school to bridge the gap between himself and the sisters. He finds Kazuki surrounded by a sea of adoring fans in the hallway. When he calls out to her, the other students immediately recognize him as the no-talent son of Subaru Ayase. Kazuki tells him to stay away, claiming his mediocrity will cast a shadow over her radiance. Ayase, trying to mention his cooking, tells her he stayed up all night hoping she would give in to his advances, and that he has something special only he can give her. The fans are horrified, assuming they are in a scandalous relationship, and Kazuki gets embarrassed, promising that he will pay for the misunderstanding when they get home. Ayase moves on to Nico, who is busy training with the karate team. When he uses her first name familiarly, her teammates are outraged that a failure would act so buddy-buddy with their captain. However, when Nico turns a terrifying, monstrous gaze toward him, Ayase decides that he is not yet ready to face her in a public setting and beats a hasty retreat. His last hope is Miwa. He finds her in her classroom, where she is helping classmates with difficult math problems in a dry, robotic tone. When the other girls leave, they whisper about how Miwa is in a completely different league, making it impossible to truly befriend her. Ayase tries to ask her to lunch, but she treats him with the same coldness she shows everyone else. He doesn't give up, chasing her through the hallways until they both collapse on a bench from exhaustion. In this moment of weakness, Miwa opens up. She confesses that she doesn't know how to talk to normal girls and finds their conversations pointless. Ayase tells her he can sympathize because he is also a royal in his own way, royally short, royally stupid, and royally weak. He admits his looks are false advertising for a talent he doesn't have. His self-deprecating honesty makes Miwa smile. She gives him a lead on how to win over Kazuki, remembering that their eldest sister once secretly asked their mother for a meal made just for her when she was a toddler. Back at home, Ayase tries to figure out what kind of meal Kazuki's mother might have made. His thoughts are interrupted when Kazuki arrives home and collapses on the floor. She is burning with a fever, though she tries to act tough and insists she is just fatigued. Miwa and Nico try to help, but Kazuki kicks everyone out of her room, lamenting her own perceived weakness. Ayase doesn't stay away for long. He brings her porridge and carrot soup, but she refuses to eat, insisting her supplements are enough. When she tries to stand, she falls again, and Ayase is there to catch her, though his lack of strength causes them both to tumble to the ground. Desperate to help her stay on track for her rehearsal, Ayase offers to be her acting partner. He tells her he debuted as an actor when he was 2 years old, and surely he can help. Kazuki is skeptical, but agrees to try. The result is a disaster. Ayase's acting is wooden and robotic, sounding like he is reading a grocery list rather than a script. Kazuki kicks him out, realizing he was only cast as a child because of his mother's influence. She concludes that he is the type who coasted on someone else's fame and has never known the meaning of real effort. However, Ayase doesn't quit. For the next several days, he stays up late every night, practicing the lines until he is exhausted. Kazuki watches him, realizing that despite his chores and schoolwork, he is putting in massive amounts of effort for a craft he is clearly bad at. On the final day of her recovery, Ayase delivers a line with a genuine flicker of emotion. He is so overwhelmed by his small success after 14 years of failure that he bursts into tears. Kazuki is moved by his dedication and finally agrees to eat his cooking. But there is a catch. The perfect and radiant Kazuki becomes incredibly embarrassed as she lists her conditions. She demands that her food contain no carrots, no bell peppers, no mushrooms, no eggplant, and no bitter squash. Ayase stares at her in disbelief, realizing that the top student of the performing arts program is actually just a very picky eater who behaves like a small child when it comes to vegetables. The fragile peace in the Mikadono household begins to take a more concrete shape as the dining table finally serves its intended purpose. The sisters are visibly stunned to see the once defiant Kazuki actually sitting down and eating real food with them. Nico and Miwa watch in disbelief, joking that the end of the world must be near if their eldest sister is finally compromising. Ayase feels a quiet sense of victory as Kazuki finishes her soup, though she remains stubborn, insisting it was only acceptable because there were no carrots. Instead of letting her remain in the dark, he reveals the truth, informing her that he actually grated those very carrots into the broth she just enjoyed. He realizes that while getting these three to eat his cooking is a massive hurdle, their picky and intense personalities make them a constant handful. Just as a rhythm seems to be forming, the sisters announce that they will not be home for dinner for the foreseeable future. Nico has a major tournament approaching and needs to practice late into the night. Miwa is focused on her shogi matches, and Kazuki will be eating on set during her grueling rehearsals. As Ayase watches them leave, he offers a quiet goodbye. He finds himself alone in the large mansion, a feeling he knows all too well. He remembers the month-long stretches when his mother wouldn't come home due to her acting career. He reflects on how that distance eventually broke their bond. He sees the same spark of genius in the Mikadono sisters that he saw in his mother, and it makes him feel like even more of a good-for-nothing nobody. Seeking comfort, Ayase turns to his mother's favorite television series, Homemade Bride. He watches the simple, everyday scenes of a family smiling and talking together. He finds himself particularly moved by a wedding scene where the husband asks his wife to become a happy family with him. Seeing his mother in a wedding dress on the screen leaves him feeling conflicted and lonely. He whispers to his mother's memory that real life is much harder than a television drama, doubting if he can ever achieve the happiness she wished for him. When the girls finally return home, they are exhausted. Miwa looks completely drained, leading to some light teasing from her sisters about her lack of physical fitness. They find Ayase crying in front of the TV and realize he has watched the entire series. Kazuki assumes he is overwhelmed by the loss of his mother and tells him he doesn't need to work so hard at chores and cooking just to win them over. Nico and Miwa agree, suggesting he should just accept his role as a freeloader. This sparks something in Ayase. He stands up and declares that he isn't a freeloader in his own mind. He explains that he spent his life running away from his mother because her talent made him feel like a different species, and he doesn't want to repeat that mistake. He tells them he truly wants to bond and create a happy family with them. However, as he speaks, the wedding scene from the show continues to play loudly in the background. The groom on screen repeats a proposal about becoming a happy family, and the sisters' imaginations run wild. They see themselves in wedding dresses, incorrectly assuming Ayase is making some sort of romantic advance. They become completely speechless and flustered, retreating into their own defensive thoughts to avoid the sudden tension. The romantic tension is quickly deflated by Ayase's actual goal. He knows that Kazuki is the eldest and Miwa is the youngest, but since he and Nico are both in their second year of high school, the hierarchy between the two of them is still a mystery. He turns to Nico and asks for her specific date of birth, explaining that he needs to know if he should treat her as an older or younger sister. He mentions he was born in December, but the girls are too embarrassed by their previous fantasies to give him a straight answer. They shout at him, calling him a freeloader once again, and flee to their rooms. The domestic chaos continues later that night. Nico, still reeling from the proposal misunderstanding, retreats to a hot bath but hears Ayase screaming in the kitchen. She rushes out in nothing but a towel, only to find Ayase crying because he forgot to buy bread for tomorrow's sandwiches. She scolds him for being so dramatic over a small mistake, but Ayase is more concerned that she will catch a cold. When Miwa sees Nico's red face, she suspects her sister is blushing because of Ayase, leading to a heated argument between the two about who is actually crushing on their new housemate. The tension only grows when Miwa accidentally touches Ayase's hand while taking the laundry he folded for her. She becomes as red as a tomato and drops the clothes, demanding he fold them again. Kazuki enters the room and tries to act like the mature older sister, but when Ayase asks her for help reaching a high shelf and gives her a sincere, glowing thank you, even the stoic actress turns bright red. The sisters find themselves in a three-way standoff, all blushing and denying their feelings, while Ayase stands by, confused as to why they can't just get along. Amidst the mess of the sisters' bickering, Ayase finds an old photo on the floor. It shows the three Mikadono sisters as small children at a night festival, smiling and looking like little angels. He asks each of them who the photo belongs to, but they all deny it. Kazuki claims it is just a family photo that doesn't belong to anyone in particular. Ayase senses that one of them is lying, that someone treasures this memory of a time when they were closer. He realizes that being a family means more than just eating together. It means understanding what the others truly want. He learns that the sisters are all traveling to the same general region over the weekend for their respective events. Instead of letting them go their separate ways, Ayase takes action. He prepares hot milk to help them sleep, and reveals that he has already booked their hotel rooms. He hands them maps and details, but when they arrive at the hotel, the sisters are shocked to find they have all been booked into the same room. Ayase appears at the hotel, acting as their festival conductor. He tells them that since they are all in the area, they should attend the nearby Cherry Blossom Night Festival, the same one from the childhood photo. The sisters initially resist, claiming they need to focus on their matches and rehearsals. Ayase counters their arguments by mentioning a shrine at the festival dedicated to competitors' luck, suggesting that even world-class prodigies need a moment to breathe and find faith. He wins Miwa and Nico over with the promise of local seafood, and Kazuki eventually agrees, thinking it will be good for her social media presence. The final stop before the festival is a kimono rental shop. The sales associate is dazzled by the auras of the three royals. Kazuki chooses a mature, chic outfit with golden chrysanthemums that highlights her elegance. Miwa picks a playful, retro-modern pattern covered in cats, which Kazuki notes is perfect for someone as sneaky as her. The focus then turns to Nico, who is reluctant to even try on a kimono. She feels she would look weird in one and prefers tomboy clothes she can move in easily. However, Ayase chooses for her a pink, flowery kimono that is soft and feminine. He insists that it would fit someone as cute as her. Despite her hesitation, Nico goes to change. When she finally steps out, with her hair styled and wearing the delicate pink fabric, the entire room falls into a stunned silence. She looks at them nervously, asking if she looks weird, while the others struggle to find the words for how much she has transformed. After that, the group heads out to the Cherry Blossom Night Festival. Nico is immediately taken aback by the sheer number of people, while Miwa's focus shifts instantly to the many food stalls lining the path as her hunger takes over. Ayase tries to maintain some order, warning the sisters not to wander too far off in the chaotic environment. As they walk, Kazuki is quickly spotted by a group of girls. They swarm her with excitement, calling out to her as their top theater star. Ayase realizes that he had completely underestimated her popularity. Even in a kimono, she is instantly recognized as a celebrity. The fans gush over her stage performance and her stunning appearance, and Kazuki seamlessly transitions into her professional persona. She treats her fans with the grace of a prince, thanking them with a practiced charm. While Ayase wanted the sisters to enjoy the festival as a family, he watches as Kazuki remains in work mode, dedicated to her role as the star actor of the Mikadono family. He decides not to intervene, respecting her professionalism. Meanwhile, Nico and Miwa lose themselves in the simpler joys of the festival. Nico buys snacks from the stalls, and Miwa begs for a taste. Nearby, a lone girl is annoyed that her friends abandoned her to chase after Kazuki. In her frustration, she almost takes a nasty fall, but Kazuki catches her in a princess-style carry. The crowd erupts in admiration, comparing Kazuki to a real-life prince as she takes the girl to a place where she can sit and recover. Ayase follows from a distance, struggling to keep his eyes on Kazuki through the dense throng of people. Once the fans lose track of her, Ayase manages to pull Kazuki into the safety of some nearby bushes. He has brought her some festival food, but his primary concern is something else he noticed. He tells her that he saw her walking with an unusual limp and suspects her sandal straps are hurting her. Kazuki scoffs and calls him a creep for watching her so closely, but when Ayase insists on checking her foot, he discovers a painful, chafed wound. He is shocked that she was carrying others while her own foot was in such bad shape. He asks why she didn't just tell someone she was hurt, or ask for a bandage. Kazuki remains stubborn, explaining that as the heroic prince for her audience, it would be nonsensical to admit she needs saving. Ayase looks at her with genuine care and tells her that a prince has every right to be a princess sometimes, and she should feel free to be whoever she wants to be. He gently applies a bandage to her foot to ease the pain. The group reunites, and Kazuki puts on a smiley mask to go incognito so she can actually enjoy the stalls. They decide to split into teams for a competitive round of goldfish scooping, Ayase and Kazuki versus Nico and Miwa. The sisters' competitive nature quickly flares up. Miwa is surprisingly skilled, catching fish after fish without her paddle breaking once. Nico is frustrated by her own lack of success, and Kazuki accuses Miwa of cheating. The banter is sharp, with the sisters teasing each other about being sore losers. Ayase watches them with a smile, happy to see them interacting so naturally, and decides to leave them alone for a while so they can continue to bond over the games. While they are occupied, Ayase wanders to a different part of the festival where a presenter is announcing a special challenge. Participants must cross a pond by hopping across lotus-shaped platforms to reach a torii gate. The prize is the opportunity to take a photo with the shrine's golden guardian statue, which is said to provide unbeatable luck. Ayase looks at the old photo of the three sisters as children, holding that very same statue. He realizes that if he can win the challenge, he can recreate that cherished memory for them and help them remember how close they used to be. The challenge is notoriously difficult, as many of the lotus leaves are designed to sink. No one has succeeded in 10 years. Ayase steps up as the next challenger and immediately falls into the water. He tries again and again, getting soaked and covered in mud. Other festival goers mock him, telling him he should quit while he is ahead, especially since his face is now a mess. Even as it begins to rain and the presenters prepare to pack up, Ayase refuses to stop. He thinks about the sisters and how they reached the goal together as children by combining their intelligence, strength, and observation. He pushes himself to find the right path, and to the shock of the presenters, he finally reaches the gate. He has won the right to the photo, but he tells the presenters to wait because he needs to go find the sisters. Ayase rushes back into the main festival area just as an announcement is made that the event is ending early due to the bad weather. He feels a crushing sense of failure, thinking that he has once again focused only on his own goals and left the sisters alone. He assumes they have already returned to the hotel in a bad mood, and that his meddling has only made things worse. He collapses on the ground, feeling like a stranger who had no business trying to fix their lives. Suddenly, the three sisters appear above him with umbrellas. They are surprised to find him covered in muck and ask if he is sick. Ayase is stunned that they didn't leave without him. They tell him not to be heartless, explaining that since he is their festival conductor, he still has a job to do by leading them to their hotel. Because umbrellas are sold out, they tell him he will have to share theirs. All three sisters speak at once, offering him a spot under their respective umbrellas, which leads to a small argument about who should be the one to share. They eventually decide to settle it with a game of rock, paper, scissors, treating the chance to share an umbrella with him like a competitive prize. Nico ends up being the one to share her umbrella with Ayase. As they walk, Ayase apologizes for the trouble, but Nico tells him to be quiet. Internally, Nico is confused. Even though they are just walking, her heart is racing as if she has just run a marathon. Later that night at the hotel, the girls take a bath together in the spacious hot spring. Kazuki enjoys the luxury, while Miwa finds it a bit strange for all three of them to be bathing together. Nico is still lost in thought about her racing heart, wondering if it was just the discomfort of the kimono. When she subconsciously touches her chest, her sisters misinterpret the gesture and begin to tease her about her physique. They compare their bust sizes, with Miwa and Kazuki bragging about being more developed. When they leave the bath, they run into Ayase in the hallway. He has come to wish them luck for their respective competitions the next day. However, he reveals that he forgot to book a room for himself, and all the local hotels are now full. He tells them he will just find a net cafe, but the sisters cannot bring themselves to let him go. They decide to let him sleep in their room for the night. They justify it with various excuses. Nico claims it is a matter of martial arts honor, Kazuki says a star must show charity, and Miwa points out that they all live together anyway. Ayase is incredibly grateful and tries to make himself as inconspicuous as possible. When they realize there aren't enough robes for everyone, Ayase helps Nico reach a spare one from a high cupboard that was too tall for her to see. He then heads to the shower, telling the sisters to enjoy their rest. However, none of them can sleep. Nico, Miwa, and Kazuki all lay awake with racing pulses, which they each attribute to the excitement of their upcoming matches and performances. While they are restless, Ayase looks at the photo he took at the festival. He had successfully managed to get them to recreate their childhood pose with the Guardian statue. He realizes the original childhood photo he had been carrying is missing, but he finds a note indicating that it has been taken back by its rightful owner. He realizes that one of the sisters must have cared enough to reclaim it. As Ayase finally falls asleep, the sisters get up and notice how quickly he drifted off. They begin to talk in the quiet room, reflecting on the festival. Kazuki asks why Ayase chose a flowery kimono for Nico, and Nico admits that she actually liked that kind of style when she was a child. They realize that they are talking more now than they ever do at home. They acknowledge that they usually just do their own things, but Ayase's meddling, as weird as it is, has forced them to connect. Miwa, who was the one who secretly took back the old photo, looks at it and thinks about how much effort Ayase put into everything. Deep down, all three sisters feel a sense of gratitude toward him. A final memory of the festival shows what happened when the girls first lost Ayase in the crowd. They were frantic to find him, even considering putting out a missing persons report on social media. As they tried to come up with a description of him, Kazuki noted his sincere smile. Miwa mentioned how he always makes her snacks and meals, and Nico talked about how he always knows exactly when she needs more sports tape or protein. When they realized they were all praising him so highly, they all turned bright red and decided to find him themselves rather than admit those things to the public. Ever since the group returned from the Cherry Blossom Festival, Ayase notices a positive shift in the house, as the sisters finally seem to be getting along much better. He feels that this is exactly how things should be. Filled with a sense of accomplishment, he decides to prepare a massive feast to welcome everyone back home, promising himself that he will make a dinner they will never forget. However, when he arrives home, he is surprised to find that the sisters have all returned much earlier than usual. His confusion grows when he hears an unfamiliar voice coming from inside the house. Upon entering, he finds a man waiting. The voice belongs to Mr. Mikadono, the sisters' father. Ayase politely introduces himself, expressing his gratitude for being allowed to stay in the household. Mr. Mikadono briefly mentions the passing of Ayasi's mother, Subaru, calling it unfortunate but quickly shifting the focus. He tells Ayase that there is no need to worry because his mother's talents will live on as long as Ayase grows and develops himself. The atmosphere quickly turns cold as Mr. Mikadono begins what he calls performance reports. He treats his daughters like employees rather than family. He starts with Kazuki, who reports that her shows are packed and her reviews are excellent. Next is Nico, who flatly states that she won her championship as usual and has no intention of slacking off for her next tournament. Finally, Miwa explains that she won her preliminary matches and is focused on the upcoming title matches. Mr. Mikadono offers a brief word of encouragement before preparing to leave. Ayase tries to bridge the gap by inviting Mr. Mikadono to stay for the feast he is about to cook. The father's eyes fall on the festival mask Kazuki used during their trip. When Ayase explains that he took the girls to a festival, Mr. Mikadono's tone becomes sharp and accusatory. He asks why Ayase is getting in the way of his daughter's rise to the top. Ayase tries to defend his choice, mentioning that the shrine offered luck for competitors, but Mr. Mikadono scoffs at the idea. He tells Ayase that true winners make their own luck through persistent effort and that he raised his daughters to be tough and indomitable. The conversation takes a personal turn as Mr. Mikadono reveals he has looked into Ayase's history. He calls Ayase an average nobody with no achievements worth mentioning, expressing disappointment that the son of the gifted Subaru is so mediocre. He bluntly tells Ayase that talentless children are not welcome in his house and warns him not to bring a slacker mentality into the household. To Ayase's surprise, the sisters stand up for him. Kazuki argues that while he may not have public achievements, he does a great job at home. Nico calls him a loser who fails at everything, but admits he handles the cleaning and cooking. Miwa adds that he does everything he can to support them so they can focus on their talents. When their father asks if they really need him that much, the girls become flustered. They try to play it off, saying he is just convenient to have around or that he barely earns his keep. Mr. Mikadono remains skeptical, stating that he finds it hard to believe his daughters could be compatible with someone like Ayase. The sisters protest loudly, insisting they are bonding well, though they struggle to even say Ayase's name without blushing. Their father eventually gives them a stern warning. They are no longer children and must not attend any more festivals or social gatherings. He orders them to focus solely on bettering their performances. After their father leaves, the progress they made at the festival seems to vanish instantly. When Ayase tries to tell them that dinner will be ready soon, Nico coldly tells him that they no longer have time to eat his food. A week passes, and the household regresses to the icy silence that existed when Ayase first arrived. Ayase realizes that the sisters' constant need to project strength and perfect their talents is a direct result of the pressure from their father. He feels bad seeing how down they look, knowing they were just starting to truly connect. The strain begins to show in the sisters' daily lives. At school, Nico's karate teammates notice her intensity and the fact that she has stopped going home for dinner. Nico tries to eat store-bought food, but she finds it completely bland and unappealing, remembering the flavors she recently grew accustomed to. At the theater, Kazuki drinks a nutrient-dense smoothie but finds herself staring at it with no desire to swallow. Miwa, studying shogi on her computer, finds her usual snacks disgusting. They all try to return to their old routines, but thoughts of Ayase and his average lifestyle keep popping into their heads, much to their annoyance. Ayase reflects on his own goals. He realizes that his dream of being a happy TV family might be mediocre, but he refuses to give up on it. He decides he will do whatever it takes to support them. The next morning, the sisters notice that Ayase has stopped saying his usual cheerful goodbye. At lunch, Nico's friends are shocked to see her pull a homemade, beautifully packed bento box out of her bag instead of her usual plain chicken. All three sisters realize that Ayase has secretly packed lunches for them. Nico's friends beg for a taste, but she defensively tells them she will eat every bit of it herself. Internally, she calls Ayase a lousy dumbass, but she feels her heart swell with so much emotion that she can hardly eat. That night, Ayase is overjoyed to find that they ate every single bite. The sisters call him over and propose a new arrangement they call co-stewardship. They explain that since their father will throw him out unless he shows merit, they will accept him as their official supporter. They each list their upcoming challenges, Kazuki's audition, Nico's tournament, and Miwa's title matches, and tell him they are counting on him. Ayase enthusiastically agrees, declaring that he will make them lunches every day as family, though the girls quickly correct him and insist he is just a supporter. The routine settles back into a comfortable rhythm. Ayase sees them off with a smile every morning, and the girls find that hearing him say those simple words just feels right. However, new pressures begin to emerge. Nico receives a call from a male senpai who has returned from an overseas tour, making her feel self-conscious about her progress. Miwa's coach pressures her to decide on her future path in shogi. Kazuki faces extreme anxiety over her first audition for a female role, as she has always played male parts. One evening, Ayase decides to expand his cooking skills by making udon from scratch. He puts the dough in a plastic bag and treads on it to get the right texture, explaining that he is using whole wheat for better nutrition. In his excitement, he loses his balance and falls hard. The sisters arrive home early and find him in this state. Despite the chaos, they agree to eat with him. Ayase serves them sardine and grated yam udon. As they eat, the girls realize that while the food is average, that very mediocrity is what makes it so good. It provides a comfort that their father's world of perfection never could. After dinner, Kazuki offers to help with the dishes, claiming she wants to practice her feminine side for her audition. Ayase teases her a bit, leading to their usual bickering. Kazuki admits she is incredibly anxious about her role, but being home helps her forget that fear for a moment. As they work, Ayase accidentally drops a plate. Kazuki is surprised to see it doesn't break, and Ayase explains he bought hard plasticware so they can drop as many dishes as they like without worry. As they laugh, Ayase slips again. This time, as Kazuki tries to catch him, their faces collide, and Kazuki accidentally kisses him on the lips. They pull apart in total shock. Ayase is mortified, especially because he has a nosebleed, and he begins to apologize profusely. Kazuki tries to act cool, telling him to settle down and that it was clearly just an accident and not a real kiss. She tells him to deal with his nosebleed and leaves the room. Ayase is left thinking that her professionalism is amazing, though he laments that his first kiss tasted like blood. The following days are filled with awkwardness. Every time the word kiss appears on TV or in conversation, Kazuki panics. Miwa unknowingly makes things worse by describing a jelly snack Ayase made as being like moist lips, causing Kazuki to flee to her room in a rage. Ayase eventually goes to Kazuki's room to clear the air. He tells her that he knows she doesn't want her kiss to be from a failure like him, so they should both just pretend it never happened. He leaves, thinking he has done the right thing, but Kazuki is furious that he dismissed the moment so easily. At work, Kazuki struggles with her rehearsals. Her father's words about being a true prodigy ring in her ears, but she can't seem to nail the feminine lead. She tries to observe her female partner's cute voice and teary eyes, but whenever she tries to replicate a romantic scene, the memory of the kiss with Ayase flashes in her mind. The director notices her distraction and warns her that her personal life is affecting her performance. That night, Kazuki returns home and asks Ayase for stamina-boosting meals and more hair conditioner. Ayase is happy that things seem normal again. Then, Kazuki catches him off guard by asking if he is free this Sunday. When he says yes, she bluntly tells him that she wants him to spend the day going on a date with her. Ayase scrambles to find a reason for this unexpected request, wondering if it is a consequence of their accidental kiss. Ayase tries to regain his composure and asks Kazuki to hold on, explaining that he does not understand where this proposal is coming from. Kazuki looks at him calmly, asking if he wants to know her motivation. She presents a casting call document for a heroine audition in a new television drama series. Kazuki explains that because she has spent her life playing male roles, she cannot grasp a traditional heroine's delicate mannerisms. She admits the director warned her that her personal life is affecting her performance. Ayase understands they are pretending to go on a date so she can identify with a romantic heroine. He expresses deep admiration, noting that a star like Kazuki is willing to take on new challenges because true prodigies stay out of ruts. He commits to the idea and says he is at her service. Kazuki thanks him while strictly instructing him to keep this a secret from the other sisters, warning him not to get any wrong ideas. Ayase tells her to relax. Even so, he points out that the date needs to feel authentic for her to identify with the role. To add some thrill, he promises to take her on the most awesome date designed specifically for her. The other two sisters are eavesdropping. When Miwa wonders if the new kid is even going to be okay with it, Nico admits she has no way of knowing how he feels. Feeling the risk of getting caught, Nico urges Miwa back to their rooms. On Saturday, household tension surfaces. Nico nervously asks Ayase if he is doing anything on Sunday. Ayase replies that he will simply provide his usual household support. Nico fumes, convinced he just lied to her face. Meanwhile, Miwa remembers Ayase's promise of an awesome date and wonders what that means, frustrated by her own lack of romantic knowledge. By nightfall, the dinner table atmosphere is thick. Ayase glances around at the silent sisters, wondering if the overwhelming tension means they have big matches coming up. On Sunday morning, Miwa and Nico secretly shadow the couple. Miwa explains she must see what happens today, or she will lose focus during her upcoming shogi matches. Nico agrees, wanting to watch the events unfold. She notices Ayase waiting at the meeting spot, irritated by how excited he looks. Miwa admits she cannot picture her older sister on a date with a guy, and Nico agrees that Kazuki is usually the prince escorting girls around. Suddenly, Kazuki arrives wearing a long-haired wig. Ayase tells her she looks amazing. Kazuki explains this is what the heroine looks like, practicing her makeover skills to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. She catches herself calling him New Kid and shifts to using his actual name, Ayase. Thrilled, Ayase hopes she will keep calling him Ayase after today, suggesting they hit the aquarium first. Watching from afar, Nico wonders how the school's Prince Charming transitioned to trying to look cute for the new kid. Miwa watches in awe, noting her sister is completely all in. Inside the aquarium, Kazuki's habits take over. Approaching a flight of stairs, she instinctively tells Ayase to watch his steps. Ayase smiles, pointing out that she is doing it wrong for a heroine role. To help her ease into the dynamic, Ayase offers his hand. They walk hand in hand toward the dolphin show. Kazuki tries hard to practice her reactions, commenting on the clever creatures while anxiously wondering if her expression is cute enough for a man's taste. Ayase notices her rigid posture and suggests she try to enjoy herself rather than treating it like a test. Suddenly, a loudspeaker warns spectators in the lower seats to take care. As a massive wave of water splashes over, Kazuki instantly shields Ayase with her body. She asks if Ayase is okay, prompting Ayase to sigh and note she is doing it wrong again. The surrounding crowd loudly praises how cool the guy's girlfriend is, making Kazuki turn bright red as she shouts that she is not cool at all. As the afternoon progresses, the date continues to spiral. The sisters whisper about how the couple struggled to decide who should carry the shopping bags, and how Kazuki developed sores on her feet from ladies' sandals. Miwa whispers to Nico that the date is cratering, and Nico calls it too cringe to watch. Sensing the tension, Ayase excuses himself for a restroom break. Left alone, Kazuki wonders if Ayase is disappointed with her. Suddenly, a talent scout approaches her, complimenting her physique and pushing a business card for a talent agency. Kazuki declines, but the persistent man presses further. Trapped, Kazuki wishes Ayase were around. Ayase runs back and steps between them, asking the man to stop. The scout assumes Ayase is her little brother. Ayase firmly states they are on a date and that she already knows what she wants to be. When the scout presses for details, Ayase steps forward and loudly declares that the man cannot have her because he wants to marry her someday. Exhausted by the outburst, the scout concedes and walks away. Onlookers whisper excitedly about the public proposal. Turning red, Ayase apologizes to Kazuki and tells her to forget everything he said. Kazuki looks at him, her heart beating wildly, as she reflects that she can never forget. Ayase clears the air, taking her hand to guide her to their next stop. Watching from the bushes, Nico stammers in shock at how well they are hitting it off, while Miwa wonders if the date will turn out to be a success after all. Ayase reflects on his impulsive actions while holding her warm hand. Meanwhile, Kazuki wonders why she is sweating so much, using the physical reaction to learn how a girl acts on a date, internally telling Ayase to keep acting like her boyfriend. They arrive at a movie theater to watch a romance film. Kazuki recognizes the title. It stars a senior co-worker who recently left the review troupe for female casting roles. Kazuki avoided seeing it out of fear of how her mentor performed, but hopes this screening will provide pointers for her audition. However, as the movie plays, Kazuki notices her senpai has not broken her old stage habits, struggling to look like an authentic heroine on screen. Leaving the cinema, Kazuki overhears the crowd complaining that the lead girl fell flat and was completely uncute. Hearing these critiques, Kazuki remembers her father's heavy words that a prodigy must never fail. Ayase notices her despondent expression and panics, blaming himself for picking the movie, while Miwa and Nico wonder from a distance if the new kid can ever come back from this mood killer. Desperate to salvage the day, Ayase points to the Ferris wheel as their last stop. Miwa calls the Ferris wheel a romance cliché, while Nico wonders if he is trying to cheer her up with a smooth aerial view. Nearby, men mention a superstition that couples who ask each other out at the top become official. Inside the rising gondola, Kazuki feels overwhelmed. She reflects on her insecurities, remembering how she was always tall, preferred short hair, and wore pants instead of skirts. She loved performing boys' roles since debuting at age 6. Eventually, her passion became a strict obligation to never fail. Remembering her father's demand to take on a female role, she contemplates withdrawing from the audition rather than risking failure. Breaking from her thoughts, she notices Ayase trembling due to the see-through glass floor. Kazuki laughs, calling him a dolt for choosing a ride he fears. Ayase responds that he had to choose it to guarantee a perfect date. When they reach the highest point, Ayase stands shakily and shouts that he wants her to be the best heroine ever. The romantic tension evaporates as she tells him to sit down before he shakes the gondola. Kazuki reflects that he fails constantly, yet never gives up, making her wish she could be as unafraid of failure as he is. Ayase explains his lack of fear comes from being a failure his whole life, but notes there is value in shortcomings. He shows her candid photos on his phone from their day together, explaining that her spontaneous expressions are incredible and that people grow to love flaws. Kazuki dismisses it as an excuse for incompetence, but smiles as her confidence returns. On the ground, the sisters watch the couple step out with bright smiles, completely stunned. Walking away, Kazuki thanks Ayase. Ayase asks if she was able to identify with the heroine. Kazuki replies that she is now free to perform in the way she thinks is best, even if she blunders along the way, knowing there are people who will love her flaws. Ayase tells her to remember their date if she gets stuck, and Kazuki playfully scoffs at relying on him. Watching them banter, Miwa notes their bonding, while Nico wonders nervously how to react to this shift at home. Kazuki resolves to pour her talents into the audition, vowing to remain herself even if she fails. Ayase cheers her on. Moved, Kazuki steps close to him and brings up their accidental first kiss, confessing she cannot pretend it never happened. As Ayase freezes in shock, Kazuki removes her wig and announces she is back to being a prince. Miwa thinks she is back to normal, but Nico notes her aura has fundamentally changed. That night, Ayase returns home and apologizes for being late, promising to cook dinner. Miwa and Nico demand to know what he has been up to. Before he can answer, both sisters soften and welcome him home as Ayase. Overwhelmed by the normal family greeting, Ayase joyfully asks them to say it again. Nico blushes, claiming it is a perfectly normal greeting, while Miwa playfully sighs that he has switched back into family mode. Both sisters are resolved not to let Kazuki steal his attention all for herself. The next morning on the way to school, Ayase mentions that he understands why Miwa is so relaxed, but he wonders about Kazuki's mindset on test days. Kazuki responds, there is no refinement in cramming at the last minute. Miwa chimes in to point out that Nico has terrible grades as well, causing Nico to defend herself by stating that she puts all her energy into her sports instead. Suddenly, a robber sprints past the group. Ayase shouts in confusion, just as a distressed woman screams that the man took her handbag. Without a second thought, Nico charges forward to confront the criminal. True to her reputation, Nico swiftly knocks the large man out cold. The surrounding crowd erupts in amazement, instantly recognizing Nico, the karate master. Ayase notices blood on Nico's hand and instantly panics. Nico dismisses his worry, pointing out it is merely a scratch. Ayase counters that even if it is just a scratch, scratches still hurt. Then, the robber suddenly gets up, seeing a perfect chance to escape. The thief flees right into a new group of boys, and one of them delivers an instant crushing kick that knocks the criminal out for good. Ayase stares in awe at the knockout, while Nico instantly recognizes the boy who delivered the strike. The onlookers quickly identify him as Hayato, the captain and prodigy of a national champion karate team. Kazuki remembers that he used to visit their house frequently when they were younger. Nico approaches her senior and asks what brings him to their school. Hayato confidently declares that he has come to take Nico away with him. Inside the Saika dojo, Hayato explains to the club that his team will spend an entire week participating in a joint practice with them. The Saika club members point at Ayase and angrily demand to know why he is there since he is not even a member of the team. Internally, Ayase is obsessing over Hayato's intense declaration about coming to get Nico. The other club members explain to Ayase that the two grew up training in the very same childhood dojo. Eager for a challenge, Nico steps forward and asks her senior for a spar for old time's sake. The match is incredibly brief, and Hayato easily defeats her, leaving the Saika members completely stunned that their powerful captain just lost. Nico maintains her drive, praising his incredible level and asking to go another round. Ayase suddenly steps in and puts a stop to it, yelling that she is an absolute mess and needs to rest, while loudly scolding Hayato for not taking it easy on his junior. A short while later, Nico and Ayase talk alone. Nico tells him to lose his hostility toward her senior, but Ayase states he cannot do that. Nico explains that to her, Hayato is a true hero. She recounts that when her father first took her to a dojo, she easily defeated all the older boys. Naturally, those boys grew furious at being beaten by a new girl and later tried to gang up on her. Hayato showed up just in time to rescue her. Although he moved away when he entered middle school, they always managed to meet up during the national tournaments, and he has always been her main source of strength. Listening to her story, Ayase realizes that although he always thought of her as fiercely independent, Nico also has someone special she looks up to. Hayato then approaches them, stating that after witnessing her skills up close again, he is convinced he must take her with him. He adds that he already spoke with her father about the matter. He states that if she wants to get stronger, she needs to come with him, questioning the point of training with weaker people when she is already the best martial artist in Saika. The Saika members object, yelling that they are not weak and that their captain helps them train every single day. Hayato shuts them down by asking who among them actually helps Nico train. The realization hits the teammates hard. They worry they are just holding her back. Nico defends them, asking him not to badmouth her team because coaching them serves as great training for her. However, her teammates side with Hayato, telling her that her senior is absolutely right and that staying here is unfair to her. Hayato smiles and urges Nico to join him so they can be the best in martial arts together, leaving Nico frozen in hesitation. At the end of the school day, Ayase spots Nico and runs over to walk home together. He praises her, noting how amazing it is that the top karate school in the nation is recruiting her. Nico looks away, stating they don't need to bring the topic up again. Ayase admits that he feels completely left hanging because he doesn't know how she actually feels about the situation. Nico claims it doesn't matter how she feels because the offer is a massive honor, explaining that Iwayama is a boarding school that hires professionals to manage their diets and living conditions, making it a perfect fit for her in every way. Ayase repeats the words boarding school to himself, feeling a wave of sadness at the thought of her leaving. Looking down, Nico thinks about her sisters and Ayase, realizing that her past self would have jumped at this chance immediately, but things are different now. Summoning her courage, Nico bashfully confesses to Ayase that she wants them to be together. During dinner, the sisters display an almost frightening level of kindness. Kazuki tells Nico that she is free to use her expensive shampoo and conditioner. Miwa then offers Nico some of her favorite sashimi, which Nico notes to herself she never shares even under pain of torture. Later on, while washing dishes with Ayase, Nico remarks that the dinner was extra unnerving because those two were being too nice. Ayase explains that everyone in the school knows about her being recruited, and it seems her sisters are just like her teammates, wanting whatever is best for her. Later, while soaking in the bathtub, Nico ponders if even Kazuki and Miwa want her to leave. As she gets dressed, she wonders what Ayase actually feels about all of this, noting that he only ever asks about her feelings when she just wants them all to stay together. The next day at practice, Nico approaches Hayato and delivers her decision, stating that she is not going to his school. Hayato flatly refuses to accept her choice, arguing that his school offers a vastly superior environment for karate and that he will personally coach her. He tells her not to act like an unambitious nobody, insisting that the two of them are meant to perfect themselves in martial arts together. Nico argues that Iwayama cannot be the only choice in front of her. Hayato asks what is making her so reluctant, questioning if she refuses to prioritize her own talent. Before she can answer, Ayase interrupts, announcing that he heard everything she told him. He turns to Hayato and states that he made up his mind as well. Ayase challenges Hayato's logic, stating that according to his rules, Nico can stay at Saika if she is with someone whose skills are superior enough to satisfy him. Hayato agrees, but notes that there is no one that strong at their school. Ayase loudly declares that he is going to defeat Hayato to prove he is the stronger one. Hayato is confused, asking why he wants to fight, and Ayase boldly reveals that he also wants to be together with Nico, promising to win no matter what. Nico tries to intervene, telling Ayase that it is impossible for him to win, but Ayase declares that he will win because he is the one who will be with her. Hayato accepts the challenge, setting a formal match for the final day of joint practice, but adds a strict condition. If Ayase loses, Nico belongs to him. Ayase readily agrees to the terms. At home that night, Nico furiously scolds Ayase for making such a stupid promise. Ayase asks her to coach him, and Nico agrees, noting that her entire future is riding on his performance. Ayase thanks her, admitting that compared to a prodigy, a mediocrity like him is nothing, but he refuses to let the skill gap stop him from trying. He confesses that he truly wants to be together with her and her sisters because he has grown to love seeing them off from home every single morning. Ayase then tells her it is her turn to be completely honest and explain why she is turning down a sweet recruitment offer just to stay here. Nico blushes and confesses that while she wants to stay with her teammates, she also doesn't want to leave because she has grown to deeply like his morning greetings as well. She adds that watching Kazuki and Miwa work their butts off every day serves as her main motivation to work hard. The narrative shifts to the Iwayama team members elsewhere, who are reading the formal challenge paper that Ayase gave to Hayato. The paper includes a postscript forbidding Hayato from using his dominant right hand or foot. The Iwayama players are furious at the foul play, while Hayato vows he will never let a scheming rat have Nico. Back with our protagonists, Nico accepts Ayase's underhanded strategy, noting that since they know Hayato will be fighting one-handed, it narrows down what they need to train for. Ayase agrees completely, declaring that he will never let Hayato have her. Nico blushes, arguing that she doesn't belong to him in the first place. Ayase quickly apologizes and adjusts his words, promising that he won't let her go, leaving Nico completely flustered as she tells him to just stop talking.